What up, everybody? Golden Decor back again with another video. And this one's going to be another collection video and be my first of 2020. So I was going back looking at my collection videos, seeing which ones needed tweaking or updating. And I noticed my GameCube one from 2018 is still on the old style that I used to do them when I was trying to figure out which style of like how to shoot it correctly. So I figured might as well update that. I got a couple new games for it, so it's not going to be all the old ones, and then I can actually give my ratings on these games, which I didn't do in my other collection video. So yeah, without further ado, let's just get right into it. Alright, so first up we got Aggressive Inline. This is a roller skating game. I remember getting this on the Game Boy Advance first when I was a kid and having a little bit of fun with it. It's kind of like if you ever played those older BMX games, or where they kind of try to do the Tony Hawk thing where you have to do a certain amount of score or do certain tricks over certain things to unlock different areas, and you have to get a certain amount of points, and that will upgrade your character and also unlock different maps. This game, along with the Daveariah BMX games, I would say they're decent. I would say they're kind of just like average games for the type of games that they're going for. So I'd give them all a 5. The sticker is because I got on a reduce rack at a grocery store. Alright, next up we got Man RTS. So I'm a big fan of RTS games, always have been. Really started with the World of Warcraft games on the PS1. And I was always big into Army Men's as a kid, so this was a perfect mesh for me. I really enjoyed this game. I think it's one of the more underrated RTSs. It's not by any means a great RTS, but it's still fun. The controls are easy enough to learn. The missions are unique enough where you require different units, you unlock different units, and there's actually some strategy you need to put in to beat the levels, and they get decently harder as you go through them. So I'd give this game like a solid 6.5. Alright, next up we got Battalion Wars. This honestly is probably one of the more underrated Nintendo exclusives for the GameCube. I don't see a lot of people talking about it, but when people talk about it, it definitely is one of the better games on the console. It's a mix between a RTS and a third-person shooter. So basically you would have your units on the map, and you would control them, and you can tell them where to go, who to attack, and then you could transform into any of the units you have alive and then play them in a third-person style. So you can really mix up what your play style is, and depending on the maps you'll have to use certain units more than others, and you'll have to maybe go out with only one unit, or you can bring in all your units at once. There's a lot of different strategies to it, and it's a lot of fun actually. I really enjoyed this game. I'd probably give this game somewhere around an 8. Alright, next up here's the Daveariah 2 BMX games that I was talking about. So these, as I said before, are kind of like the aggressive inline games, or kind of like trying to be a Tony Hawk game. They're decent. Like, the gameplay controls I think are a lot better in this one compared to the aggressive inline. The music's alright. It's kind of just like that early 2000s grunge mixed with rock, or like pop rock. So it's pretty good. I enjoyed this game mainly just for like the free ride and just riding around. I give this game a 5 as well. Alright, next up is Def Jam Fight for New York. These games are really expensive nowadays. I don't know why, but they're a lot of fun. So they're basically a fighting game mixed with all rappers under the Def Jam label. So you got people like DMX, Snoop Dogg, female artists such as Lil' Kim in here as well. And they all have like their unique fighting styles. There's, I think, 5 or 6 different fighting styles that you can mix, and you can also create your own character in this and go through like a story mode. It kind of fights a lot different than Vanjetta. If you played Vanjetta and not New York, Vanjetta is more like the old school WWE games, where this game's more kind of sets its own tone, and the story mode's a lot more vast in this one. So I'd probably give this one like a 7.5. Alright, next up is Death and Vanjetta. And probably an unpopular opinion, I actually prefer this one. The reason for it is because it reminds me of the old like WWE SmackDown vs. Raw games, where this is very wrestling heavy. It's always in like rings, and it's all like grapples, punches, counter grapples, and the story's pretty straightforward. You can still level up your own character, but it's kind of like a preset out of like 4 characters. But it's still a lot of fun. I enjoyed the story in the game. Fighting all the different characters was fun. You still have like the female characters as well, so there's still a good mix of characters you can choose from. I just prefer the fighting in this one, honestly. So I'd probably give this one like an 8. Alright, next up we got Freestyle Street Soccer. Anybody who's watched the channel knows I'm big into sports games, especially arcadey, unrealistic sports games. And this era of games was right up my alley because there is so many indie or mainstream street sports games that there's a lot to choose from. And this is one that's more of a not as well known one. It's kind of just like if they took FIFA basic controls and then added like the ability to knock down opponents, do like really crazy like style moves, and basically just be able to shoot it from basically anywhere over half, and put it in these like small little arena style soccer maps. This is kind of what you get for this game. There's a cool like take over the map mode where you pick one of the teams, you start upgrading them for wins, you unlock new teams by conquering their areas, and you start gaining up momentum and conquering the map, and then eventually when you finish you can redo it and just keep on leveling up your guys until you get to max level. So there's definitely a good grind in this game if you're into that, and the gameplay is fun enough. It's not amazing, but it's a decent game. I'd give it a 6. Alright, coming in next is Geist. I still haven't played this yet. There's a couple other games I'm playing through currently, and this one is just one that is a little bit on the back burner right now. I got this one as a recommendation from Metal Jesus Rocks. If you haven't watched his channel before, he gives some great recommendations on hidden gems for certain consoles, and I'm pretty sure this was one of them, so that's why I picked it up. It was only 15 bucks. I'm hoping it's a decent first-person shooter. I know it's something about transforming in and out of people's bodies and taking control of them or something like that. I've never played it personally, so I can't really give it a rating, but I'm hoping it's going to be good. Alright, next up is Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. I picked this one up trying to get into the Harvest Moon games, and then I just realized they're not for me. I can't really get into the farming, waiting for your crop, just walking around. Like, I was never into the simulator style of games. I wanted to give this one a shot because it's not like a hardcore simulator, and it kind of has a nice art style to it. I did enjoy the art style and the music to it, but gameplay wise it's just not on my alley. I can recognize it's a quality game for people who like those types of games, but for me personally it's like a 5. Alright, next up is Legends of Wrestling. So I was big into wrestling when I had the GameCube as a kid, so any of like the weird wrestling games I tried to pick up. This was one of them. This is like, I don't know, kind of a bare bones wrestling game. It's kind of fun, but the controls are a little wonky, and like the character animations are very stiff. Weapons and just beating people with chairs is still a lot of fun in this game. And there's like a campaign mode where you can level up your character, go through different events based on like how you do certain moves or how many moves you use. If you can get your specials off or your finisher off, you gain like popularity and get more XP and stuff like that. So that part was really cool. Just the gameplay wasn't as good as the WWE games, but it was still a lot of fun. I'd probably give this game like a 6. Alright, next up is Metro Prime, and I wish I had the bonus disc as well. I just have the Metroid disc, because this goes for actually a lot of money right now. But besides that, Metroid Prime's a first-person shooter. It's a sci-fi first-person shooter, and it's probably one of the most well-known Nintendo IPs out there. from what I played of this game, I never finished it. I got like halfway through it. It was a lot of fun. Definitely challenging with the puzzles and trying to figure out each level. And certain enemies give you a little run for your money. But the combat's good. It plays like a really good first-person shooter. The world's interesting enough that it keeps you going and wanting to explore like every nook and cranny type thing. So I give this game probably like a 7.5. Alright, next up is Monster House. So as I said before, GameCube, a lot of my games from when I was younger. So Monster House is one of them. This is a movie. I don't remember when this movie came out specifically. I think it was somewhere in like 2008. So this movie is basically about a haunted house and these kids go in it, and I'm pretty sure they try to like make it non-haunted, or they try to escape or something like that. The game plays like kind of like a wannabe Luigi's Mansion, but a third-person shooter style of that. It's not the worst game in terms of combat. The story's a little wonky because it's just it's one of those games that's a movie trying to be a video game, so it doesn't translate too well. So I'd probably give this game somewhere like a 4. Alright, next up we got Outlaw Golf. I'm a huge Hot Shots fan, as everybody watches the channel knows. So I try to get basically every golfing game out there that's not like the Tiger Woods PGA stuff. So this is Outlaw Golf. It plays not really how I like it to play, where instead of in like Hot Shots or something, it's just the bar system where you press it again, and then the bar goes back, and then you just hit it correctly, and then the ball will go. This one you have to actually like flick your joystick in the right direction and gauge the speed with how quickly you flick the joystick. And I find it's not precise enough, and 2, I just don't prefer that style of how they do it. So this game, it has some unique modes where there's like these mini games where you can level up your characters and then take them into tournaments. I don't think these are the worst games. I think they're kind of funny sometimes, but I'd give it like a 5. It's average. Alright, next up we got NBA Street Volume 2. For anybody who is into arcadey sports games like me, especially basketball, this is a must. This is one of the best, if not the best, arcadey style basketball game to ever be made. The moves are smooth. The gameplay is a lot of fun. Great music. There's a cool like campaign mode where you can make your creative character, level them up through the campaign, recruit street legends and also regular NBA players and NBA legends to your team in order to take down the top teams. It's just a lot of fun. There's pickup games where you face like custom created AI characters, and then you can grab them to your team or just beat them and move on. This game, if you're into basketball games or any arcade sports games at all, I would highly recommend you pick up if you don't have it. I'd give this game somewhere around an 8. Alright, next up is NFL Street. This is the first NFL Street game. There's 3 of them. I only have 2 of them. This game's a lot of fun. This one has a more advanced like campaign mode than the second one. The second one has like multiple different campaign modes. This one just has one expansive one where you kind of level up a team through challenges, and then take them and play NFL teams and through like a gauntlet type thing, trying to get to the top teams in the league. It's a lot of fun upgrading your team. It's not like quick upgrading where you beat a couple challenges and all of a sudden your team's amazing. Like, it's a grind to get your team up, which I enjoy a lot, and the challenges are easy enough that you can get some big points pretty easy. But to fully upgrade your team, you need to do a lot of the gimmickier challenges or tougher challenges. So if you're looking for a fun football game to play, I would definitely recommend this game. Or the second one. I haven't played the third one, but I'm sure it's decent. So this game, I'd probably give it like honestly an 8.5. I really enjoy this game. Alright, next up is Rampage Total Destruction. This is based off of, I'm pretty sure they were PS1 games, This is kind of like a remaster or like recontinuation of the series. So they kind of made it like 3D models and kind of upgraded the textures a bit, and then kind of added like a little campaign mode to it. It's a fun co-op game. If you don't know Rampage, basically just destroy buildings and destroy like helicopters and tanks and stuff like that to earn points and move farther throughout the level. The best part about this game is being able to just co-op with somebody. It's really easy, sit down and play co-op, and it's honestly just a lot of fun to beat the crap out of everything. So I'd give this game probably around a 7. Alright, next up is Shrek Super Slam. For those of you wondering when this came out during the Smash Bros. Era. So this was when Melee was getting all the hype on the GameCube, so some other games tried to capitalize on it, and Shrek was one of them. Shrek decided to make a Smash Bros. Style game where you have like this story mode where you can level up, or not level up, you can unlock different characters by completing in different like tournaments or specific battle maps, do like beat a certain amount of enemies a certain amount of time, or beat like 3 enemies in like a gauntlet style fashion. The combat's not great. This game kind of plays like if Smash Bros. And like a beat 'em up had a baby type thing. You kind of just spam your one combo that your character has and hope it outreaches the other person, or you kind of hit it first and then you use your ult on them and then you kill them and get a point, and then you just rinse repeat. It's not great. I'd probably give it a 4. It's not terrible, but it's not a fantastic game. For those of you wondering what I rate a 10, top 10 game of all time for me is a 10, so a game that would fall into my top 10 games of all time, that would earn a 10 for me, and this is my favorite game of all time, so this will be a 10. This is SSX3. In my opinion, the best out of the series. A lot of people prefer Tricky, some prefer SSX3. I'm one of those people that prefer SSX3. I think the racing in this is the most solid, it's the smoothest. The slope styles are the best in this. They actually created unique maps for them. The music's the best in this game. This is just a great arcadey snowboarding game. Some great races, some great courses to ride on, some great freestyle events that they made specific maps for. The riding's really smooth. It's a lot of fun. It's not like the newer SSX games where you don't see any of the people you're racing against. There's no life to the courses. This one has a lot of life, and each course feels very unique. The riders, you can upgrade all of them through their own little mini campaign and customize them. There's a lot of customization in this game compared to any of the other games. This game for me is a perfect 10 and is my favorite game of all time. Alright, next up we got SSX on Tour. So I'm a big fan of the SSX series, as you can probably tell from my last game in this. So I picked up SSX on Tour knowing it's not one of the most liked ones in the SSX franchise. And I gotta say, it gets a bad rep, but it's slightly deserved. In this one, you basically create your own character. You can either pick skiing or snowboarding, which nobody picks skiing. It plays awfully in my opinion. Then you basically do a bunch of challenges that range from rookie difficulty to, I forget the last one, I think it's legend difficulty. And then you rise up the ranks through the SSX like leaderboard. For any of you who know tennis, it's kind of like that leaderboard where if you win, your character goes up the leaderboard, or if you lose, your character can go down, or usually just stays the same. But this game's a lot of fun. There's a lot of customization for your character. Personally, what I think holds this game back is the maps aren't great at all. It's one of those where you can't really tell each map from each because it's just forest map, and then there's a couple maps that are just like terrain park freestyle maps, but they all look the same. So that would be one of the downfall, and also the gameplay is a lot slower. They add like whenever you use your special moves in this, it adds a slow motion to it, which is really annoying and makes it a lot more tedious to play through and takes a lot longer to complete stuff, especially like slope style or half pipe, you're just slow motion, slow motion, slow motion, slow motion. So I think that it holds the game back a bit. Overall, it plays decently. I'd probably give this game like a 7 still. I think it's a little underrated. Alright, next up is Street Hoops. This is probably one of the worst basketball games I've played. I don't know, it just doesn't feel good when I play it. I can't really describe it, but just gameplay wise, it's just not fantastic. There's like a story upgrade your team mode that seems kind of interesting, but personally I just cannot get into the gameplay in this. I'd probably give this game like a 3. Alright, next up is Super Mario Strikers. This is a fantastic game. Usually when Mario or Nintendo come out with a sports game in any of their consoles, it's usually quality, and this one's no exception. This one, in my opinion, is one of their best ones that they've put out. So this is a soccer game with all the Mario characters, and basically what sets this apart from other street soccer games is there's a lot of different power-ups. The slide tackling, you basically like slide a solid like 2 meters and can like take out anybody in your way. You can throw items at people. You got special moves. If you hold the ball for long enough, you can like shoot up in the air and get like 6 goals at once. It's just a fun game that really doesn't take itself seriously. And there's cool tournament modes you can do. There's not a lot of upgrading or anything like that, which is probably the only thing I would say that's negative about this game. And some of the gameplay elements can be a little glitchy at times. But overall, this is just a quality game. I'd probably give this game like an 8. Alright, next up is Swingers Golf. This is another one of those games that I was trying to capitalize on my Hot Shots itch. And this game looks, and in terms of graphics, the art style they go for, how they present the game, is exactly like Hot Shots. It's just, in terms of the gameplay, it's the same thing as the Outlaw Golf, where it's the stick flicking it up and down, and I just can't get into that. In my opinion, it's just not as fun to play with a stick, because it's so sensitive, and I feel like I never hit it exactly where I want it to, which in Hot Shots I can. It might just be a personal preference to the other style of play. But in my opinion, it's just not as fun. I'd probably give this game like a 5. Alright, next up, we got Tony Hawk American Wasteland. I was really looking for a Tony Hawk game after playing the Pro Skater games, and I picked this one up not knowing too much about it. This, in my opinion, I would describe as kind of a cross between the Underground games and the Pro Skater games. And this one, in terms of content, has the most out of any Tony Hawk game I've played. Because you can go through each city in the classic Tony Hawk Pro Skater thing, where it's like, collect skate, do a certain amount of points, yada yada yada, do certain tricks type thing. And you can do that mode. Or you can do this really advanced story mode, where you're leveling up your created character, you're going through an actual like story, and like creating this cool park that you can find different parts for throughout the world, and advancing the story. I really enjoy this game, and I think it's a lot of fun. This game, I don't think it's as good as Pro Skater 4, but it's probably, I would say it might be my second favorite Tony Hawk game. That or Underground 2 would be my second favorite Tony Hawk game. So I would probably give this game like an 8.5. Alright, next up is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. This one's a classic. I had this one on the Game Boy Advance and was a lot of fun. It's the classic, you have different courses and your character that's one of the pro skaters in this game, or a custom created character, and you basically go through them individually, going through all these different maps, completing different challenges, just collect skate, get a certain amount of points, do certain tricks over certain items in the level, ride certain rails into a combo type thing, and finding skate letters, finding boards to upgrade your character, or hitting movie tapes. So there's a lot of exploration in this game, actually, and the levels are so well designed. And the only thing I would give Pro Skater 4 and American Wasteland over this game is I find the skateboarding is more refined in the other two games. They still have the arcadey over the top combos that this game has. I just feel like it flows a little better in the other two games. So I'd give this game like an 8. Alright, next up is Tony Hawk Pro Skater 4, which for me personally is the pinnacle of the Tony Hawk games. It has the most meshed and well created skateboarding I feel in Tony Hawk games. It plays a lot like Tony Hawk 3, but it's a lot more refined. Your skateboarder feels like it doesn't glitch as much off of rails or in tight areas. You feel like you can land more in terms of creating more expansive combos, and I think the maps are some of the best in this game. It still has the same do challenges in certain areas, but it's not really time based. You kind of find skateboarders in the area and they will give you challenges and then you complete them, so you kind of just have free roam of the area or map that you're in, not under a time limit, and then you go find the skaters and they'll give you the specific challenges for the area, which I really enjoyed, because you can spend more time on the map and there's not that 3 minutes cut off, 3 minutes cut off, 3 minutes cut off type thing. So it works really well. I personally think this is the best game out of the Tony Hawk series, and honestly, personally, it might make my top 10, but I will give it a 9 for now. Alright, next up is Wario World. This is one of the true Nintendo exclusive I have for the console. I don't have too many because of how expensive they are nowadays. But Wario World is a little fun 3D platformer. It had some really good jumping mechanics, a little more fighting mechanics in terms of like grabbing and throwing enemies compared to like Mario games. There's some fun boss fights. It has a decent amount of challenge to it. I got like 3/4 through the game, and then I think something came out on the PS3 that I was really excited for, and then I eventually dropped this game. I didn't mean to, but it happens for me time to time. But I really want to go back to this game and finish it on my save. I just haven't got to it yet. But this game, I'd say it's somewhere around like a solid like 8.1, 8.2. It's a fun little game. Alright, next up is 007 Agent Under Fire. This is back when the 007's games were just a whole lot of fun. They had fun multiplayer, split screen. The campaign was just solid first-person shooter mechanics for the time, mixed with some really fun missions and usually some great driving mechanics. So these games, I would say, back in this era were fantastic. Anything like past the GameCube, Xbox, PS2 era, I would stay away from personally. But this game's a lot of fun. In my opinion, this is the best one that I have played. I've only played 2 of them. So I'd probably give this game somewhere around a 7.5. They're not amazing games. They're just really solid and a lot of fun. Alright, next up is 007 Everything or Nothing. In my opinion, this game is not as good as the third one. I just like I don't know if there's a third one, but Agent Under Fire is my preferred one. I just prefer the story and the campaign a little more in that game. It's just a personal preference. They're both great. They have basically the same mechanics. The multiplayer is still a lot of fun, and honestly, for split screen, this one, if you're looking to play with a friend, is the better one because it has a co-op mode in it compared to Agent Under Fire. So I would say this game's probably like a 7. Both fantastic games for just to pick up and play a fun little game. Alright, so there you have it. That is my GameCube collection for 2020. I haven't done a collection video in a while, so it's fun to film. I really enjoy just talking about the games I've played and some of the games I'm either looking to pick up or picking up currently. I really enjoy these types of videos. I definitely am planning to do a PS4 collection update in 2020. That'll probably come in September, because that's usually when I structure doing those. I might do a DVD collection update because I haven't done one in a while, and I've actually picked up a decent amount of DVDs. I don't know about a PS3 one this year because of COVID. I haven't been able to pick up too many games personally for the PS3 because I haven't been able to go out to the stores I usually like to go out to pick them up, because they're all curbside pickup, and I personally like looking at the games
that I'm going to be purchasing before I go in.
So at least look forward to a PS4 collection update. And I have a lot of games that I've gotten for that and actually played through, so there'll be a lot of new games I'll be talking about in that one. Thanks for watching, and remember, everybody has some nerdiness at their core.